Have you ever heard of Dandy's World? I'm going to assume you haven't and explain it so I can stretch this video's length and get more watch time. Dandy's World is a mascot horror survival game on Roblox, where you can team up with up to 7 other players to survive spooky versions of beloved children's cartoon characters. You can play as a wide variety of different toons, with passives and abilities that all make them unique. All of them have some sort of strength that makes them a viable option to play as while braving the dangers of garden view. All but one. Shrimpo. He's the only character to have 1 star in all of his stats, but he does have 1 passive ability though, and maybe it can make his character worth playing at? It just makes him even worse. He's the worst character in the game, and it is literally said in his description not to play him because of how bad he is, only suggesting Shrimpo as a challenge for more experienced players. Even his trinket sucks. But what if that wasn't the case? What if Shrimpo wasn't the joke character? What if Shrimpo wasn't a failure? So first, let's establish what I'm going to be basing these concepts and ideas off of. Shrimpo's personality is going to be a big area I'm going to be using for ideas. His interactions with other toons, along with any other lines he may have, are going to be taken into account as well. And last but not least, any images or drawings in Garden View that have Shrimpo on them will also be kept in mind when designing his new stats and abilities. All non-main characters use a total of 15 stars to divide among their stats, so the same will be done with Shrimpo. I'm also going to be giving Shrimpo a new trinket, because his current trinket is literally just a brick that slows you down. With the guidelines being set, let's get started! So each toon has 6 different stats: health, skill check, movement speed, stamina, stealth, and extraction speed. First things first, health. I'm not changing it. Shrimpo is not special enough to warrant an extra or missing heart, plus I think an extra heart would actually make him broken. Next, skill check. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's fine where it is. Just look at how he extracts Ichor. It's a miracle he's doing anything at all, so I'm just gonna... Movement speed. Shrimpo's rocking a power stance at all times, so it would make sense to give Shrimpo a good amount of movement speed. And after some careful and thoughtful consideration, I've decided to give Shrimpo 4 stars in movement speed. Just look at the way he moves and tell me he doesn't look like he would trample anyone that gets in his path. And I couldn't find a better way to divide the stars. Man, I've been running for hours. I'm feeling a little low on stamina. I thought about how many stars I was going to give Shrimpo in this area for a bit, and I was originally going to settle at 4 stars and cry trying to assign the remaining stars to something that made sense for Shrimpo's character. But while I was looking at other characters for ideas on where to assign some of the stars, I discovered that Scraps has 5 stars in stamina. I previously had no idea that non-main character toons could have that many stars, so I gave Shrimpo 5 stars for stamina. My justification for this is because of Shrimpo's walk and run animation. It just looks like he would have a lot of stamina given the way he decides to move around the facility. Plus, it makes more sense to give him stars and more physical traits instead of traits that involve using brain power, like extraction speed and skill checks. I'm giving him a lot more in those areas not because I think he's the ultimate life form and should be the most jacked toon out of the whole cast, but more because I'm trying to keep stars out of the mentioned brain powered stats. Next is stealth. 3 stars. I would give him less, but that would mean I have to give him more stars in other areas, and I would rather put a gun in my mouth. Extraction speed. I decided to give Shrimpo 2 stars in this area, because even though he's tugging on the wheel and bashing his head on the glass, he could be cooking up a new and better way of extracting Ichor. Look at how wide those pipes are, and they are only spitting out that much Ichor? That is some bull crap. It's like shaking a vending machine when the thing you paid for gets stuck, or shaking your cup when you're trying to get out the last few drops of your drink. But he's still being a dumbass. So 2 stars. Well, those are all the stats. It's time for abilities. To start off, I'm getting rid of Shrimpo's original passive and replacing it with a new ability. It wouldn't make sense for him to keep it because of the stars I gave him in stealth. So my original idea for his ability would be an attack he could use to stun Twisteds, kinda like Knuckles in Sonic.exe The Disaster. But when I was looking at the pictures throughout Garden View that Shrimpo was featured in, I noticed that he never got physical with any of the other toons. In his interactions with other toons along with any other lines he says don't imply that he would lay a finger on anybody, so no punchability. But I do have something else in mind. Perhaps, without knowing it, Shrimpo could be a team player. That is why I proposed the replacement to his bully ability, Taunt. When fellow toons are in a bind, and you just have the undying urge to make fun of their predicament, Shrimpo has got your back. He'll say something that'll get on everyone's nerves, but some more than others. This ability will cause all Twisteds within a certain range or within the line of sight to target Shrimpo, and they will not give up until they lose him. While chasing Shrimpo, they won't be able to switch targets because they are dead set on making Shrimpo eat his words. Some of his taunt lines can be, "You stink," or "I hate you," or "Kill yourself." This ability falls in line with what his poster says about him, stating he often causes issues and messes and never learns his lesson, prompting him to provoke Twisteds again and again. This ability would have a cooldown of 45 seconds. While it's not the most useful thing in the world, especially in solo runs, it can come in handy for saving your fellow toons. Now that Shrimpo himself has been revamped, it's now time for his trinket. So, now that we have the new and improved Shrimpo, he needs a trinket to match his new self. It took me a bit to come up with an idea for Shrimpo's trinket, but I think I got an idea. So Shrimpo bashes his head against Ichor machines while extracting Ichor. What if his brain dead and concussion-inducing strategy is actually helpful? That's why I proposed the new trinket, Brick! I know it's the same thing, I've just given it a new purpose. So when you're extracting Ichor, and you have the Brick equipped, you'll get a very small Ichor boost when a skill check starts. The trade-off for the trinket comes with a 33 decrease of the skill check size. Just imagine pairing that with a magnifying glass. People with that combo really have their work cut out for them. It goes well with Shrimpo's display of brute force while extracting Ichor, and it doesn't seem like something that can be abused with another trinket or character without giving the player a hard time. Thus, I think this is a good, but not perfect, trinket for Shrimpo. And so now, I present to you, the new Shrimpo! This is probably the direction I would take Shrimpo if he wasn't a joke character, and I hope you think he's cool or neat. But if those guidelines at the beginning of the video weren't set in place, I would definitely have made a few stats different. This is what I had in mind for a no restrictions Shrimpo. Well, that's about all I had for this video. If you had any other ideas for what a revamped Shrimpo could be, leave them in the comments. I really do wonder what other people's thoughts on this are, and I'm interested to hear what others have to say about my concepts. With that being said, bye bye.
I got a box under a fridge about the size of a fish. Never seen a box like this, it even comes with a mattress. I'm so much better than y'all. I actually got to eat my drywall. I never get called tiny, cause nobody ever sees me.
Flutter, 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 flutter. Oh, just my luck!